There's no discussion of all-time Cougar greats without Rueben Mays. Thank you for taking the time and hopping on a video chat here with us in the midst of the strangest of times. Now, Rueben, before we talk football, and we'll get into more of this in a bit, but
Yeah,
the presenting sponsor of this entire endeavor is Pullman Regional Hospital, as folks have seen behind me, and we appreciate very much the relationship that the official hospital for the Cougs has, and in all this. And you work for Pullman Regional Hospital, and you're integrally, involved in this process in terms of keeping Pullman healthy and safe.
absolutely. It's really hit home for me. I work as an employee at Pullman Regional Hospital and dealing with COVID-19. We have to treat every patient as if they're positive, and so there's a dynamic regards to the patients, to the staff, to the employees, and also with fewer elective surgeries, it really drained our cash, and so we have the same number of staff, but less revenue. So pretty dire situation for the hospital, and trying to be a world-class hospital with a world-class university, and we want to maintain that.
So let's talk about specifics of that in a little bit, but I want to go back in time. I want to take it to a lighter state for a moment.
Absolutely.
You're in Saskatchewan. Let's go back in the day. You're in Saskatchewan, and you turn out to be two-time NFL All-Pro, two-time PAC Player of the Year. You're one of the record setters for the Cougars and all of college football Hall of Famer. When did you know? When did you get a sense that you really not only could make it, but could perform at that kind of all-time elite level?
That's an interesting question. I don't think I ever felt that I could make it or had made it. I really didn't. I remember my first day in Pullman back in June of 1982, and my mom dropped me off at the stadium. It was a sunny afternoon. I'm sitting in there in the stadium by myself, and I was scared to death. And I said, what the heck have I done, man? Gone from my country to the United States to Pullman, Washington. But I said to myself that very day, I said, I don't know where this is going to lead. And I appreciate Hugh Campbell because he's the one that made it happen for me, and Jim Walden. But I'm going to give it everything I've got. And I'm going to run through walls, whatever it takes, so I can prove that I belong here. And that's what I did.
When I spoke with Bob Robertson about your playing time, and when Bob was in the booth with us, he often spoke of how just incredibly fast you were, your first step and your burst. You did run through guys occasionally, but your speed, is it fair to say that you often didn't have to run through walls because you could beat guys to the punch, if you will?
Yeah, that was my thing. I was always very fast out of the gate. I was a world-class track athlete. I ran track for John Chaplin my freshman year. We won the Pac-10s that year in Berkeley. So I was pretty fast the first 50 meters. I petered out after that. But yes, I was known for my first step and my burst, and then being an instinctive runner. I always knew how to anticipate just the flashes of color and that sort of thing. And so those were the assets that I had, and then just worked on those.
How has the game changed as you've observed it? The running back position, for sure, in the air raid is unique because it's so heavily dependent on receiving the ball, to state the obvious. But even more generally than that, from the 80s to the 90s, aughts, and now here we are.
Yeah.
What do you think about the whole way the game's evolved?
I think it's been really good. I think running backs have a better understanding of the defense, pass defense, and able to be another weapon. And that's been ingrained in high school. You see that in high school now. We've seen it now in the pros a lot more. Those running backs are much more valuable than the Earl Campbells of the past, where they ran the ball 35 times and caught the pass, a couple times a game. So I think that's why the game has changed. Not necessarily has made running backs more durable, because they're still getting hit every play by two or three players, but just being able to understand the defense and the passing game, I think has been the evolution.
Yeah, I've wondered that. And you bring up a point there about durability, and they reference the carry statistic as
Yeah.
the highlight of durability. But when I'm watching pass protection, for instance, at the college or NFL level,
Yeah.
well, if you pick up a blitz, you're taking a pretty big shot, right? Like, it's how different is that as a ball carrier from, for instance, stopping a blitzer?
Well, it's pretty interesting. It depends on who you're playing. So my first preseason game in NFL was against Lawrence Taylor, and I was supposed to chip him, and that means you chip him back onto the offensive tackle's block. And so when you got half a player to chip, it's a lot easier. But when he saw me coming at the third or fourth time, he kind of launched me. So it's one of those things where my running back coach here at WSU, Gary Gagnon, and Jim Skipper with the New Orleans Saints always said blocking was more of a will to step in there with your head up and impose your will and give a couple good hits. And that's really what it is. Just not ducking your head and all of that. So I think that dimension of the game is so important. Some players get it and some players don't.
Who are some of the other greats you had to block in the NFL? Name drop some tough matchups.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ronnie Lott and I went against each other a lot. We played the 49ers twice a year, and he was always the one to come in the first play off tackle and try to finish me off. And he'd be talking about my mom and all sorts of things. And I said, well, I'll be back, And so he was definitely someone that I really enjoyed playing against. There's a number of great players. Mike Singletary, we played a wild card game against him. He's a good friend. And he always had his big eyes, he didn't wear his contacts. That's why he had his eyes so big, because he's trying to focus. Anyway, him and just a number of players like that, it was great to have those competitions.
Did you have a certain side or a certain play call, or was it a particular guard or tackle, like individually, that you loved running behind, where you thought, oh, I'm going to break this one?
Absolutely. I love the off tackle play off of the guard, or the between the guard and the tackle. And it gave me time to see a play develop. So I wasn't going into it full speed, but I was able to kind of see how it was moving and anticipate. I'd always get a lot of yards on that one, and give me the opportunity to be one-on-one with somebody versus, being like a fire hydrant kind of deal, and, everyone crashing in on you. So just getting past the first level was always a lot of fun for me. But yeah, the off tackle play. And then one of the things that I learned from going from WSU and the options style to the pitch, and that was the big question mark in the draft for me, was if I could play in a pro style offense. And I tell you what, once I got the ball pitched to me and I had more time to kind of size things up, I loved that. I loved it, and was able to get a lot more yards.
When you talk about like differences from college to pro, like that option style techniques, for instance, like some quarterbacks, Luke Falk wasn't under center a lot. They were talking about that. How much does that stuff matter? Or at this point, this deep into your career as an elite college player, if you're a good football player, you're a good football player, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, my running back coach, one of my first conversations, we had Earl Campbell, and I'll answer your question. Earl Campbell, who was about to retire, me, Dalton Hilliard, some other guys that have been drafted by our head coach and the New Orleans Saints, Jim Moore Sr., and he said the cream rises to the top. And what he meant was that I don't care who you are, if you're a first-round draft pick or a seventh-round draft pick, if you can play, you're going to start in the NFL. And that was really encouraging to me, because they didn't know who I was from the Pac-10 down in SEC territory. So you learn pretty quickly is that you got to strap it up in the pro style anyway, and you got to get it done the first day, and you got to prove that you belong, and you got to prove it every day. And that's what I appreciated about playing at that level.
I want to hear about you chipping Lawrence Taylor, Ronnie Lott, and Mike Singletary for hours. That's incredible. But big picture, more importantly, and a lot of why you and I wanted to take this time is also to discuss, again, what's going on right now with the sustainability of healthcare and what the community and what the country and the world is trying to do here to combat this historical situation.
Yeah. You know, it's been really interesting. The first thing I always say is that everyone should support their local hospital. That's where the epicenter is, whether they're full or they're empty. They're on the front lines every single day. They're workers dealing with this very infectious disease. Not a disease, but COVID-19, for lack of a better term. And the Pullman Regional Hospital, because it's so small, doesn't have the economies of scale to deflect the loss of revenue, about $90,000 a day. And so what you have is relying on the government, relying on staff reductions or cuts in pay, philanthropy to help maintain a certain level of care. And so that's what's happening in large hospitals and small hospitals around the country. And it's going to take a long time for us to get back to business as usual in terms of healthcare delivery. In particular, Pullman Regional Hospital has been in the Pullman, in terms of caring for student athletes, caring for the citizens, caring for folks in the region, and providing additional services like heart care and pulmonology. And now we have cancer care and these other things that typically small communities don't have. And also working on a residency program with the Ellis Floyd College of Medicine. So that's the dynamic we're in right now. We have a hospital that's trying to maintain this level of services, but because of the reduction in surgeries, is seeing its cash per day go down, down, and down. And we have to get it back up and through some federal funding, possibly, and these things that I mentioned. So it's not a good situation right now at all. And we're just in the beginning of it, actually.
And in light of all this, is it true that you recruited some special help for a special message here?
Absolutely. And so I was able to reach out to Gardner Minshew. He was a person that loved Dr. Tinkstad. And so I was able to call him up, and being the person that he is, we met a couple times, a golf tournament last year, and really kind of hit it off. And so right away he picks up and said, hey, we're trying to raise a couple $1 million for the hospital through the COVID-19 fund. And would you make a donation and would you advocate? He said, absolutely. So he has a special message that I sent to you. It's on our website, encouraging everyone to give something to help the hospital here in Pullman, the official hospital of the WSU Cougs, and really Cougs helping Cougs and the Cougar Nation. So we're so grateful for Gardner, just the person that he is. He's in the midst of the NFL right now with the draft coming up and the starter, and excited for him. He was about to go work out and he sent the video. I think it's pretty cool. He's such a great guy and a great ambassador for WSU. So I want people to look for that video. We're going to be sending it out, but just go to our website, pullmanregionalhospital.org.
Thank you, Rueben, and thank you for this time. And it's super fun to talk ball. And you and I have actually crossed paths quite a bit, but I think, again, this is the first time I think. Too. What's that?
In Safeway also.
Oh, for like a 3-week period, I joke, for 3 weeks, like 4 years ago, I saw you in Lewiston, Pullman, Spokane, at like 10 different places for like 10 straight days. I thought you were following me.
That's right.
Hey, thank you. Stay well and be safe.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Rueben.